That right there is actually Lil Baby. That is his song called All In. I do not own the rights to any of his music. I don't own the rights to any of the photographs that you may see. I don't own the rights to anything that goes along with the professional pictures and the people who actually put that out there and do the great job doing that. So I just want to put that out there first. This is William Allen. Thank you for joining me on Sports Talk. I want to encourage you guys to actually subscribe if you can. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you can get all the alerts and everything you need to know about when I'm coming on live, so that way you can know what's going on. And then you'll see it on your phone. You'll know, hey, Will did a show. So I'll tell you what, moving on, we're going to talk about NFL today. Of course, you already know about Patrick Mahomes and his big deal. That right there is Deshaun Watson. That's Lamar Jackson right there. But to get into it, first of all, I got to actually talk about the NBA just a little bit because I got to get into what's going on with, everybody knows the NBA just came back, and a lot of things going on right now with the social injustice in America. And there's something that all the players can do. They have a list of words or phrases that they can put on the back of on the back or the front of their jerseys if they choose to. LeBron James actually came out and said that that's something that he is not going to do because he felt like that what's contained on the back of a jersey really can't help him, with the whole cause just because it's on his jersey. Matter of fact, let's just read what he said. He says that, social injustice can't be contained on the back of a basketball jersey is what he's saying. So basically he feels like there's more that he can do out there besides just putting the words on the back of his jersey. So, but you probably will see players actually with phrases and things. So that's something you're going to be seeing when you see the highlights or something like that. You're going to see things on the back of players' jerseys or the front about social injustice. And that's something that, if you look at what's going on in America, of course, with George Floyd and the death and everything that's going on with the Black Lives Matter and the movement and everything. So, that's something that a lot of athletes, players, coaches are stepping up, especially with the University of Tennessee, with a lot of their hirings right now of African Americans. They're putting them in great positions, which is something that, of course, has excited me. And of course, I have to represent Tennessee today. This is a celebration chain. Of course, if you don't know, if you're watching the show, you're like, why is this dude wearing a chain, around his neck? It's actually just an encouragement, to what I'm doing in support of just college football overall and just the way they go about it. When they score a touchdown, when they get down there, they get hyped, they may put like a chain on them or they may, put like a belt around them, and they score a touchdown. But this is for college football and actually in hopes that there's actually going to be a season this year, with COVID-19 going on. Really, nobody knows what's really going to happen. I mean, you got the Pac-12. I think they're saying that they only want to play conference games. Ivy League has canceled, I think, their football season. Stanford canceled all their sports altogether. So as far as college football goes on right now, the SEC hasn't announced yet what they plan to do. But if you ask me, I believe that if it's going to happen, they're going to start with just playing conference games only. I don't really know, but that's something that they may look into. Hopefully, what doesn't happen is that a couple players, get COVID, and then the whole team gets COVID, and then you may have some things that may shut down, and then they may decide to shut down the whole season. So, but I'm just glad that sports is about to resume because that's what I want to see. I missed it. I've missed, football. I've missed spring games. Just seeing how everybody's progressing, how sophomores are becoming juniors, juniors, seniors. Who's on the upside. Who's doing what it takes to be to start. Who's moving past somebody on the depth chart. That's something that you want to hear about, something that you want to see, especially in college football. Man, a lot going on in the SEC, man. So, but with that being said, we'll see. And let's go ahead and move on by going ahead and hitting this thing right here. This is my to let me know I need to move on to a different subject. So, But moving on, let's talk about just a little bit about Antonio Brown. There was a lot going on with him, and of course, you already know he had signed a contract with the Raiders, and then he had this whole thing that went on with the owner or whatnot. So they let him go. So he actually was given a call by the Patriots. He went over to the Patriots, and so I think that lasted not that long at all. But a part of his deal with them, the monies that was discussed, actually, I don't think he got everything, if I'm not mistaken, but according to Mike Reese of ESPN, I believe that they are saying that Antonio Brown received $5 million as part of a settlement with the New England Patriots. Okay, so obviously, I guess that means that the monies that he got in the beginning, he never received the full amount, and so they are giving him everything that he is owed. So that's what I know right now about Antonio Brown, besides the fact that I've heard some rumors, about where he should be at. Because first of all, when you think about Antonio Brown, you got to understand that this is a A+ wide receiver. This dude still has skills, no matter what. Even though he messed himself up, he didn't really live up to his expectations, especially for himself. Because I'm pretty sure he's sitting right now somewhere just thinking to himself, why did I mess up so bad? He's had all this time to sit back and just think about how he screwed up, because he has. But you've had a couple of players come out and say, they'd be excited for him to be on their team. And one of those players is actually Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks. I mean, think about that tandem that they would have, man. You got, Metcalf, you got go along with Antonio Brown. I mean, that'd be a pretty good tandem if you think about it. So, I mean, they have some other wide receivers, some other guys that can go along with it. But I think that would be dynamic if he still came back into the league, because he is a great player. That's the truth. All right. So, moving along, let's talk about let me do this real quick, man, because I didn't really put this up here so y'all know. For those of y'all who don't know who Antonio Brown is, this is one of the pictures of him. Actually, I think it may have been about a year and a half ago, where he had, he had the little mustache going like that. I think he was on LeBron James barbershop talk. I can't even talk right now. He was on the show, and this is what he was looking like, back in that day. But moving on, though, I actually want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit, because I want to say first things first. All right, this is my first show back, so I'm getting into the groove of things, But today I'm just talking, because I want to talk about Mike Tomlin, and I think he's done a hell of a job, to be honest with you. Just with what he's done, like, period, as a coach. You can't say enough really about what he's done, period. I mean, okay, so he was the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl at age 36. His total overall record is 141, 80, and 1 as a coach. You think back last year, QB Ben Roethlisberger was hurt. They went 8-8. So if you look at Mike Tomlin's record, like, overall, if you just look at his record overall, he does not have a losing season. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But from what I know of what I saw today, he doesn't have a losing record, like, period. That's just what I saw today. So, I mean, this dude, 8-8 last year, is actually a good coaching job. I think he was a little better last year. And, of course, they've always been to the playoffs, a lot under him. They won a Super Bowl under him as well. So, but I mean, you look at you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it starts with Big Ben. It starts with Ben as a QB, and of course he was hurt last year. But let's talk about this though. All right, so Steelers Wire, you got a writer, Kurt Popejoy. All right, so he's saying that there's a couple of Steelers that may take a step back this year. And the first one he mentioned was the offensive tackle, Alexandro Villanueva. So he's 31 years old, and he's shown some flashes though. He's shown some flashes that he's a great player, but then he's shown some flashes where he's just not a great player. And the thing is that if he doesn't play well, he's going to get replaced pretty quick because they have two young offensive tackles under him that if he doesn't play well, they're definitely going to put them in. The second player that that's listed on this list of the four is running back James Conner. So he had an up and down season. I actually had him on my fantasy team. He actually did pretty good, and then he didn't do so good. So you got to wonder, injuries, kept him out. But I mean, they got some great backs though, because they drafted Benny Snell out of Kentucky. They got Jalen Samuels, and they got Anthony McFarland. So they got some guys. So James Conner, he's great, but they got a nice set of backs to step in and do what they need to do. If James Conner is not going to be the guy, and we'll see. Third on the list, you got linebacker Bud Dupree. He had 11.5 sacks actually in 2019, but actually the truth of the matter is he wasn't that good in 2015 from 2018. And then in 2019, he had that great season. I think he was tagged, if I'm not mistaken. He may have been tagged because he had that great season. So I guess they want to see if he's going to actually live up to his 2019 season. And then number 4 on the list, you got Vance McDonald, tight end. He's just not that consistent. So they actually went out and they got Eric Ebron to help to see, Eric Ebron is actually a great tight end. If I'm not mistaken, I think he came from Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, could be right, whatever. But it is what it is. You got to have a tight end that can block and that can run routes and can catch passes. And Vance McDonald, he was not very consistent, so they had to go out and get a guy. And like I said before, Big Ben is coming back. Let me put this out here though. Pro Football Focus has them at 5-11 at a worst season, but 10-6 as their ceiling, like for this season, But if you look at the Steelers and what Coach Mike Tomlin can do, I mean, they've got actually a pretty good secondary if you think about it, man. I mean, they got Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, and Steve Nelson. That's a good trio of guys back there in the back. They could light it up back there. I mean, I've got family that love the Steelers, and I actually like the Steelers. Steelers make the NFL better when they're winning, to be honest, when I'm actually watching football. I mean, I actually like them guys, man. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what the Steelers do. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and get back to what we need to get back to, man. So that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, if I was to give you a prediction of actually what I think that they would do, I'm kind of on the line with Pro Football Focus. I feel like if they're actually really good and the way that I like Mike Tomlin and what he can do, I actually see them as like an 11-5 team. That's actually what I see right there. A little bit better. And I don't really see them as having a low ceiling as a 5-11. The low ceiling for me would be 8-8 because Mike Tomlin hasn't had a bad season. I mean, that's just the way I see it. All right. So let's go ahead and move along though. Let's talk about this is my guy. I know I showed this earlier right here, but this is Patrick Mahomes on the right. Of course, he got that big contract, $500 million contract, 10 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy did nothing but just prove that he's the best quarterback in the NFL last year. If you look at what he did, if you saw every game in the NFL playoffs, and in particular, we're talking about that Tennessee game. And let me just get to this, man, because I got to talk about that Tennessee game, man, because I'm a Tennessee Titan, Tennessee till I die. But the thing that really solidified it for me to just have it in my gut, because I really have to see, if you're going to be a GOAT, you have to perform like you are the GOAT. Everybody wants to put him on that level and wants to say, okay, is he the GOAT? Is he not the GOAT? Okay, the thing that solidified it for me is when he actually ran for a touchdown against my Titans. I mean, he ran We had defenders out there trying to tackle him. We couldn't get anybody to tackle this guy. And I could not figure out for the life of me why nobody could tackle this dude. This guy ran. It looked like he was going to run out of bounds. I mean, the guy was literally running to the left, ran out. He avoided a tackle, tiptoeing on the sideline, got back in bounds, cut back to the right, and then ran straight up and avoided a couple tackles. That's when it pretty much broke my heart that he scored on that play. I was upset. I'm going to say that. But when I go back and look at it, I realize, okay, this guy's special. So Patrick Mahomes got a 10-year deal from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm just happy for, that organization as a whole, really. Andy Reid, I've liked Andy Reid since he was a coach in Philadelphia. When he had Donovan McNabb, I remember when they had T.O., they had Dawkins, man. They had some players, man. They had a lot of guys around them in Philadelphia. And it's like they would get to those spots, they would get there, they would reach a certain level, but they never could win like that big game. You got to wonder, man, why is it that they can't reach that big game? But you know what? And this is the reason why I'm happy for Andy Reid, because, he's a great coach. To me, he's a quarterback guru. And the reason why I say that is because, when they let Alex Smith go, when they let him go to Washington, and then they decided they were going to go ahead and go with Mahomes, that for me right there, okay, that let me know that he has some type of faith or trust in Patrick Mahomes, like period as a whole. So every time I watched a game, I didn't really look for their games in particular, but every time I did see a game, I would see Andy Reid sitting down on the bench next to Patrick Mahomes. This was the first year. The first year, I mean, they just literally would just sit there on the bench, and then you see Patrick Mahomes go out there and he would execute all those plays, and he would do everything exactly the way Andy Reid wanted it drawn up in the playbook. I mean, he's a great QB. I mean, that's just the bottom line about it, man. I'm happy for Kansas City. My sister was a big Kansas City fan. She threw it all in my face, on Facebook, Kansas City, this and that. And at that time, yeah, I was upset. Of course, all the Titans fans were upset. I'm thinking, you're from Tennessee. You're not going to rep Tennessee? I mean, Lord. It is what it is. All right, but let me go ahead and move on, though. But I'm just happy for that organization. And let me go ahead and hit this bell, because that just means I'm moving on to something else. Because some of you might be tired of talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. So anyway, so let me go ahead and move on to the NFC West. Got my little girl downstairs, so this is how I do it, man. First show back, this is how I do it. All right, so we're going to talk about the NFC West, and if you guys don't know who's in the NFC West, let me run it down for you, all right? So you got the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, and you got the Arizona Cardinals. Somebody wanted me to talk about those Arizona Cardinals, and guess what? Tonight, I'm going to talk about those Arizona Cardinals. But before I get into that, I got to talk about the NFC West, period, as a whole. Let me just say that, okay, so Cal Shanahan, all right, and, his QB, Garoppolo. Last year, they went to the Super Bowl. I actually thought that the 49ers were going to pull it out. I had them as my team to actually beat Kansas City, because I was mad they beat my Titans, all right? So, but they didn't win, of course, and it is what it is. But I feel like, I really don't think that the 49ers are going to take a step back. I actually think that they're going to, if there's a season, I'm just going to say this, if there's a season this year, I actually feel like the 49ers are going to be just as tough as they were last year. You're not really losing anything. You've got the best tight end in the game. You've got your running game. Matter of fact, why did they get away from their running game in the Super Bowl is what I'm trying to figure out. You got those guys running it. You got you've got 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. I think you've got a fullback and a running back. And you're running the ball up the gut and you're killing teams. Why they got away from that, I don't know. I guarantee you, if they would have stuck with their running game in that Super Bowl, I guarantee you they would have won. So I don't really see San Francisco taking a big step back. I actually see Garoppolo making an improvement this year, barring no injuries or anything like that. San Francisco should be right back up there, where they were last year. So to me, this is the toughest division in the NFL. Period. I'm gonna tell you why. Pete Carroll's got those Seattle Seahawks doing their thing every year. Of course, you got Russell Wilson, which is the reason why you're so good. But also, Pete Carroll is a good coach. I do like him. He coached at USC. But I like Pete Carroll. I like the attitude he brings. I like the energy he brings to the sideline. I like how he develops his teams, sort of like Mike Tomlin, but Pete Carroll just has a different type. It's like a West Coast energy he has, um, if that makes any sense to any of you. But Russell Wilson is just not to be denied as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's paid like it. He just received a new contract not too long ago, and he should have got that for a quarterback that's only like 6 foot tall, 5'11", that can run around like that and can make plays. I mean, you got to really understand football to make those type of plays. You got to be a great player to make those type of plays in the NFL. And Russell Wilson is one of those guys. I'm gonna tell you this though, I really like who they drafted out of University of Tennessee. That is linebacker Darrell Taylor. I really like that draft pick out of the second round. I think he was like the 48th pick. I think that will actually help them solidify. I don't know which side of the line he's going to be on. Strong side, weak side. I don't really know. Ooh, looks like my light turned off right there. So guess what I'm about to do? Let's switch this thing up because I need a light for this show, and I'm not turning this thing off. So hold on for 1 second. Matter of fact, why don't you guys look at this scene right here, and I'll get right back. Yep. Yeah, we're just not going to be denied tonight. Because guess what? Yeah, there we go. How about that? It may not be the same lighting, but I'll take this lighting if y'all are okay with it. I am. Yeah, man, let's keep this thing going. All right. So yeah, we was talking about they drafted Darrell Taylor. I really like that. I'm not really sure which side of the line that he will solidify, but man, that is a great pickup for them because they really needed a pass rusher for that team. I feel like the defense was the weakest part, if you ask me, because if you got Russell Wilson, he's going to do it all anyway. So let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams. All right, that's Sean McVay's team. You know, he's a great coach, man. Um, I really like what he's doing. Um, they were actually in the Super Bowl not too long ago with the uh, I think it was the Patriots. It was like Super Bowl LII, something like that. I don't even know these numbers, whatever it is. But they lost. Of course, they lost that game. But that just showed you, man. As a coach, man, they took a chance on him, and he's actually a great coach, man. He's a young coach. I really like what he's doing, man. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Let me go ahead and just come on down here, man. Because this coach right here, this guy right here, Cliff Kingsbury, I really like this guy, man. He's young, he's energetic. He brings something different to the Arizona Cardinals that they didn't have before. They've had a lot of head coaches in Arizona, but Cliff Kingsbury, he adds just it's something different about what he adds to that program. All right. So I mean, look right there. That's this. Okay, if you look up in the corner on the top right side, that's him chilling right there. That's his crib. That's his pad right there. All right. Would you want a pad like that? Because there's not very many people who have a pad like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This dude is living nice. But besides the fact that he has that and all of that, I'm gonna tell you something. I like what Arizona did. And after I talk about Arizona, I'll give you my predictions of the NFC West, and I'll go ahead and tie that knot, put that bow on it, and then we'll get out of here. But let me say this though, I'm really happy about this draft pick right here, man. This guy out of Clemson, Isaiah Simmons, is a beast. This dude can be everywhere. This dude could play up front. He can play linebacker. Put that dude at a safety position. You could put that guy anywhere. And I guarantee you right now, man, he's gonna be great, man. Period. That's just it right there. I mean, there's not enough you can really say about what he can do. He reminds me of like Keith Bullock back in the days for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, he's that type of player, man. He is that great. But let me go ahead and just jump into it right here because we're going to talk about these Arizona Cardinals. All right. So, with the number one pick in the 2019 NFL Draft in Nashville, Tennessee, the Arizona Cardinals selected Kyler Murray, quarterback out of Oklahoma. All right. Murray won the 2018 Heisman Trophy on Saturday, December 8th, over fellow finalists Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama, and Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins. All right. So, in Murray's first season with the Cardinals, he threw for 3,722 yards, 20 touchdowns with 12 interceptions, rushed for 544 yards and 4 TDs. All right. So Murray won. Let me go ahead and put this up here right quick, man, because we talking about my guy right here. We're talking about Kyler Murray. All right. He's out of Allen, Texas, man. I'm living right now in McKinney, Texas. I'm literally like miles away from where he played high school football. This guy is a winner, man. Real truth. All right. So Murray won the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Okay. But check it though, man. So with the addition of all-pro wide receiver DeAndre Hawkins, hold on, not Hawkins. Actually, it's DeAndre Hopkins. My bad, all right? Murray should be even better next year, okay? Because you got Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and Andy Isabella, all right? They're coming back, all right? So the Arizona Cardinals are set to challenge in the NFC West, all right? That's real. So let's talk about the defense again. We talked about a little bit about it. So defensively, all right. So the Cardinals signed free agent Jordan Phillips. All right. They have Corey Peters up front. All right. So in 2019, third round pick, Zach Allen. Actually, he's returning after missing most of his rookie season with a neck injury. Okay. 2019 draft pick. Byron Murphy, cornerback out of University of Washington, is actually expected to start alongside Patrick Peters. All right. So Murphy was inconsistent, okay, but he logged in 16 starts with 78 tackles, 10 breakups, and an interception. Okay. And let me tell you something though. All right. So he started due to the suspension of Patrick Peterson and an injury to Robert Alford. Okay. But let me say this, and this is what we're going to go back to right here is my guy right here is Isaiah Simmons. Okay. So Isaiah Simmons, I think, should be a stud in 2020, bar none, if there's going to be an NFL season. I think Simmons is going to be great. Okay. All right. So we're talking about the NFL Combine, the draft. This dude is like 6'4", 238 pounds, man. That's a big boy. All right. We're not saying he's all muscle, but most of these guys are all muscle. I mean, they train, they lift weights, they work hard, they do everything they can to keep their bodies in shape for this game of football. So at the draft, he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. All right. I don't think you understand what I just said. I mean, he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. We're talking about that's blazing speed. This guy is 6'4", 238 pounds. You know, when you're talking about a 4.39 40-yard dash, you're talking about wide receiver speed. You're talking about elite running back speed. You're talking about guys who break the edge, guys who are able to run routes and get open. I call that a burner. And we're talking about a burner being a linebacker. So what does that mean? Like I was saying before about Isaiah Simmons, he can line up anywhere. If he wants to rush and get to the quarterback, he's got the speed. And if he can get those moves and everything together, like how I think he should, he's going to be one of the best defensive ends in the league. But if you put him in linebacker, I mean, he can cover anybody you got on opposing team, period. He can cover a running back. He can cover a tight end. He can cover a wide receiver. He can cover anybody you put out there. So you can mix him up and put him in coverage. And you blitz a cornerback and he'll come down, man, he'll actually be out there with the wide receiver running around with him. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. I mean, you think about it, this is a freak. We're talking about, since I'm a Tennessee Titan fan, you know, I could just talk about Tennessee Titans, because if we're going to talk about a freak, you know, that's Javon Curse out of University of Florida, played for Tennessee Titans. You know, when they had that Super Bowl run, Javon Curse was the reason why our defense was so good. His edge rushing ability was off the charts. So I can see this guy right here, man. I can actually see Isaiah Simmons just making that type of impact for the Arizona Cardinals. So I'll tell you what, man, I have not really put down a prediction for the NFC West, but I'm gonna tell you like this right now. I'm going wild right now. All right, I'm going wild right now. Okay, I've got the San Francisco 49ers taking a step back this year. Okay, I've actually got 3 teams actually making the playoffs. Los Angeles Rams, I don't have them making the playoffs this year. I feel like they're going to take the biggest step back, period, because I feel like Arizona's going to be so good this year with the schemes and thing they have going on, tailored around their quarterback and their system. I think that Kyler Murray is going to explode this year on the NFL, just like Russell Wilson did, you know, just like Lamar Jackson did. I feel like they're going to tailor their game just like the Baltimore Ravens did to Lamar Jackson. I think that Kyler Murray is going to be that type of player. He's going to have that type of impact in the NFC West for the Arizona Cardinals. So, man, I'll tell you what, man, let me go ahead and, since I'm moving to a different subject on predictions, bing, let me ring that bell right there. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Talk Unplugged. Okay. We're getting back started. All right. It's been a while since I did a show, but this one is a little long, but I'm enjoying myself and I'm getting it in. And I want to let you guys know who I've got picked, and it's going down right now. So let me tell you right now, I've actually got the Seattle Seahawks going first in that division, leading that division. And then I've actually got the Arizona Cardinals coming behind them, San Francisco 49ers, and like I said, I've got the Los Angeles Rams not making the playoffs this year, man. Man, this has been a great it's been a great show, man. I've actually enjoyed myself. My light went out, man, but that's okay. Everything is still going. I'm still talking. I'm still doing this Sports Talk Unplugged. William Allen, man. If you guys aren't really tuned in to like what's going on with sports and everything, you know, if you're like a NASCAR fan and you see what's going on, a lot of people in NASCAR, a lot of people really like Bubba Wallace and what's going on with his situation, even though they're, you know, FBI investigated the whole thing with the noose and all that type of stuff. And, you know, but still overall, it's made me tune in more to NASCAR. I don't know if you guys are NASCAR fans. There's still a lot of tennis. I think tennis is came back. You know, I need to get in tune with what's going on with that. I think Tiger Woods is coming back in golf. He set a date for his next event as well. Need to check into that. But anyway, this is Sports Talk Unplugged. Baseball season is set to begin shortly. They finally got that situation, you know, taken care of. Whatever they're going to do, I'm just happy that they're getting back to sports, period. Because, man, sitting back and not seeing sports, sitting back at home watching SEC Network, old games between Georgia and Alabama and old games between, you know, Tennessee and Auburn and, you know, just a lot of old games like that. You know, I want to see it live. I want to see what's really going on. I want to see football. I want sports back. But more importantly, I want to see us take care of ourselves, man. Make sure you wear your mask if you're out there in public. That's important to stop the spread of COVID-19, man. Just make sure you're doing the right thing, man, because you may decide one day you don't want to wear your mask and you may be asymptomatic, but the thing is you could pass it on to somebody else who may pass it on to someone who may not be well equipped to handle that disease. You know, that's the reason why we want to wear a mask, all right? So it is what it is. Sports Talk. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, William Allen. And make sure you check me out again. Hit that subscribe button. Family, take care of yourselves. And guess what? I'll be back.